Well, great evening, great evening. I am the dynamic, daring, one of a kind diva Denise Silas. Excited to have you on tonight for our Let's Talk About It Tuesday as we finish up our series, Love is Patient, Love is Kind. I'm so excited for you to hear tonight from an amazing woman that I have known for a long time. She's not new to Let's Talk About It Tuesday. She's been on here before, so I can't wait for her to share. Because back then we were introducing a book and she is yet made another book. So I'm excited about that. So before we get started, like we like to do every week, we want to make sure people know who is behind Let's Talk About It Tuesday, and it's empowered by DS. So I'm going to jump on in here. A minute to pop up on the screen. There we go. And Let's Talk About It Tuesday is ran by Empowered by DS, and Empowered by DS is myself and my two daughters. I am the DS of the DS. We're excited because we have the opportunity and been blessed to be able to empower women to be the best version of themselves, and that is something that we are very passionate about. That is something that we have been called to do, and we do it with honor. So, how do we do that? We do that through experiences. It's our goal to help women to reawaken their ambition. So we curate experiences to do that. So not only do we have our weekly Let's Talk About It Tuesday, and if you've missed any of our episodes, you can always go to our YouTube channel, Empowered by DS, and see some of the amazing conversations we've had. And we've been doing this for over a year. So over this past year, we may have missed three or four Tuesdays. So there's plenty of conversations that are available. So we do that. We also hold a book club that's especially for our Decide tribe. So we were able to start our own community-based community this past February. And so a couple of things that we have that's a part of just the tribe is our book club that we have, as well as our what we call Sacred Start and some other virtual events to help the women to connect and build community. So we do also have some in-person events. Our monthly Diva Dinner and Dialogue is one of our signature events. That's all about creating connections and conversations through community, building that through just being able to relate to each other and know that we are more alike than different. And then we host empowerment workshops, and those are really about the woman helping to nurture and build her professional and personal development. So it's really about her and being able to maximize who she is and do that unapologetically. We also have a subscription box that gives us the opportunity to not just pour it to women locally, but really to reach women across the country, which allows us to also be able to give them a tool, the journal that we create to help them focus on the things that's important to them so that they know it is all about them. And then on a yearly basis, we have a variety of things. One that's really passionate to my heart that's coming up real soon is our Feel the Teal and Hottest Heals for Ovarian Cancer Awareness. That's in memory of my sister. So this will be our 16th event this year to raise money and bring awareness to ovarian cancer. So be looking out for that event. And then also, this has been probably the last 13 years, we've had our Adopted Grandparent Program where we partner with people in the community to be able to service low-income seniors. So, and then we end our year with our Vision to Victory celebration, just giving women the opportunity to celebrate the things they have done from when we got together in January for our vision board party, and then we ended with our Vision to Victory party. So you definitely want to connect with us through all of those experiences. And attention, attention, alert, alert. We have a new number. So today will be the last time you get a text from the 662 number. We're changing over because we changed it to a new system for a new number. So be looking out, save that 662-506-6227. So I will send one last communication out this week, today from the 662 number, and then you'll get another one in your your inbox on tomorrow. So we've had that number, but sometimes you just get a new system. You got to change a few things. So be on alert for that new number coming into your mailbox. So you'll see that number, messages coming from us, and then texting to talk to that new number as well. So um, our Decide Tribe, to learn more about that, you can also text Tribe to the new number as well, and you'll get all that information right into your inbox for your text messaging as well. So our next Diva Dinner and Dialogue is August 8th, you guys. That is the birthday edition, and we have some fun things planned for that day. So if you are already in our tribe and you are at the experience level or the elevate or elite level, you do know that you're able to come to that event as part of your membership. So I'm excited about that. If you are not a part of our Decide Tribe at those levels, you can still attend, and we'll have the registration out this week for the August event. So on that 8th, we do that. Then on that 9th, I always invite women to come to church with me and fellowship with me. And this year for Women's Day, that's our Women's Day weekend, and our Women's Day ministry invited me to bring my tribe to do the devotional at 11 o'clock service. So for those who go to the 8 o'clock service, I'm inviting you, 8 o'clock service folks, to come on and be with us at the 11 a.m. service. And then even if you don't go to Brown Baptist, I still invite you to come and fellowship with us. They'll be watching, Anissa. You got to come be a part of it. Don't be watching. But yeah, so we invite you. It's an honor that they asked us to come to be a part of that devotional. So we do scripture, prayer, and lead the song. So I need my songstress to definitely be in the house, because I am not the one. I am your background. I can do the background. So we're going to have it, and I'm excited about that as well. So we are in full planning. If you have not registered, today is the last day at the price that we had. We had to lock it in. We've had the initial due date was a couple weeks ago, the 19th, I think it was. So we just kind of held on, and then now we're having to reprice, and so the price will go up just slightly, but you should have all the information. If you want to have more information, you can email the word escape to the email address, and we'll have it for you. But we are excited. We have now probably about 5 cabins left, because we got some more of the cabins sold, and we have locked in for our hotel as well. So if you did miss that, at least you'll be able to do the cruise. You may not be able to get in, may not have rooms available for the pre-cruise hotel. So don't miss out today. Do not miss out with that as well. So remember, go to our Empowered by DS to learn more about what we're doing. Stay connected with us on all our social media platforms. What did I hit? What is that, y'all? It looks like a pen. How did I get the pen? There we go. Okay, sorry about that. And then follow us in all social media platforms as well. And then you guys know this, like I said, this is our final month of our Love is Patient, Love is Kind series. We have had the opportunity to talk about love in various forms. Of course, started our month off with God's love and just how he shows us love, and for us to receive his love in order for us to now love others. And Jayla came in and really shared with us about what it means to have love again after losing her husband, and then not only finding love again, but then the blended family love. Like she shared, if you did not hear her story, you definitely want to go back and listen. It's just a lot of little nuggets that she had in that will really help us be able to navigate a variety of things in our life. And then Betsy last week was shared with us just what she went through, and now with being a caregiver with her husband. So all the ways love is a commitment. Love is a choice. And we do know when you're in relationships, it don't always just flow and easy, but we have the things that we need to be able to take the time to create that lasting love, which brings me to today. I'm very excited about our guest on today. That with I had the concept and then she wrote the book to be able to tie it all in together. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to Dr. Anissa Short and have her share with us as I interview her today with our last of our series. So Dr. Anissa Short is the success strategist, international best-selling author, speaker, and I'm glad to introduce you to her. She is an international best-selling author, accomplished speaker, and respected business strategist with more than 20 years of experience in the business sector and 11 years as a federal employee. She holds a bachelor's and master's degree in administration and a doctorate in administration, blending academic excellence with practical leadership expertise. As the author of one, two, three, not even that, but 12 books, Dr. Short's writings and teachings inspire women to embrace their purpose, lead with confidence, and achieve sustainable success. She serves as the director of the Chosen Pen Group, where she helps authors, speakers, and entrepreneurs share their stories and strengthen their professional platforms. Affectionately known as the success strategist, Dr. Short is dedicated to empowering women to rise, lead, and amplify their impact, living out her signature message that your voice has value. So I'm excited to have with us today. Let me bring her up to the stage. Da, 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 da. Spot that for the people. Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, welcome, welcome. No stranger, no stranger, no stranger. She was been here before when we were launching yet another book. And I'm excited to that it just lined up and she said yes, because she is just a woman who is has a lot going on, and I appreciate her taking the time to join us on today. So welcome, Dr. Short.
Thank you, Ms. Denise. I appreciate the opportunity. Hey, everybody. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. So this wasn't one of the questions, but I want to start here. Just tell us how you, first of all, just got into writing. Let's start there, and then we'll get into specifics of this book. Because so there may be some people out there who have a story in their heart, but just don't think they can write it, right? So I think this is a good way, I think it's definitely still relevant because sometimes we need to follow the desires of our heart, right? And just because you haven't did it before doesn't mean that you can't do it. So go ahead.
That's absolutely correct, Denise. And anyone can, just decide to write a book. But thank you for the question again. Thanks for allowing me to be here today. My decision, what you heard Denise read was not in my forecast in any capacity. The very first book that I decided to author, it's called The Vendor Blueprint. It's not in circulation right now, but I knew there was a need for the women in my community, which at the time in the entrepreneurial space were home-based business owners who had fantastic products and services, had fabulous brands, but they just did a shoddy job of representing in the marketplace, mainly because they just didn't know how to represent with excellence. They didn't have a clue. They knew they wanted to be a vendor and they had the table and the wrinkled tablecloth. And it was just a lot of things that just didn't measure up. And I knew that because many of them I knew personally, that how they represented didn't really reflect who they were. So over a series of conversations and a few years and months after people calling me, asking for advice on what they needed to do, being referred to me because this was their first vendor event and they didn't know what to do. After having local businesses host events and wanted small business owners present as vendors and calling me and asking me to facilitate that part of the event, I felt like it was imperative for me to do what I had already been doing, but to create put in a book form. So it became an extension of the advice I had been giving already, if that makes sense. So I put it all together, put all my content in there, got my manuscript right, met Dr. Norma McLaughlin, who became my mentor, and didn't know at the time when I met her that she was a publisher. Imagine that. So she published the book, and the rest is history. She
Right.
told me then that wouldn't be my last book. And I was like, bless her heart, she has me confused with someone else. She must not know because I really had not planned to write anymore. I didn't have anything on the horizon. There was not a thought. But as a result of being mentored by her and other doors of opportunity opening and presenting themselves, that's when it's like once I started, it just it one thing after the next, after the next.
Gotcha, gotcha. Which
Yeah.
leads to my very first question: what inspired you to write this book? Well, let's mention the book first. So,
Okay.
I think I oh let me I did. So let me bring this up real quick. So I thought it would be great to bring this photo up with this photo. I thought that was
Oh, that
great
was a good one,
timing.
Denise. You are so
Yes.
good at what you do. Oh my gosh. Who would have thought?
So this
So,
is her book, her latest release, right? This is the latest release. Why I said yes. So what inspired you to write this particular book?
I had people that are in my immediate sphere of influence, people who know our story, would say, "You all need to write a book on how you met." You know, it's a series of things that happened over our 2 year courtship that had to be nothing but God, honestly. You know, and I know a lot of times people say that I knew it was God. God told me he was my husband. God didn't tell me that. No, that Al says God didn't tell me that. So after so many people saying it, um, I said, I don't want to just write a book to tell my story. While I do believe our love story is phenomenal and I'm blessed to have met him and all of that, I just didn't want to write the story just for the sake of writing the story. It just seemed to me a little vain. I don't know. That was just how I felt. I didn't want to just be braggadocious. So I figured if I was going to tell the story, there had to be even an even greater purpose, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So what precipitated me thinking along those lines was some conversations I had with other women who are not married, who say things like, the dating pool is not what it used to be. I don't know. I just like I'll be single forever, but I desire to be married. And I went out on a date and he was yada yada yada. And so you know how you find yourself in those conversations. And so because I knew that there may be women who really desire marriage, they want a godly marriage. They really want the man to spend the rest of their lives with, and some of them just don't, are maybe clueless because
Mm-hmm.
many times the conversations center around the superficial, the external. They talk about he's a great guy, everybody loves him. He has a great job. He da 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 da. And I'm like, all of that's good, but does he have common sense? Those are the questions I would have in my head. So when I decided to write this book, it was one to just tell our stories, but also to reflect back on what were the things about Alfonso that made me comfortable with him, such that when he told me from the beginning I was his wife, I said, whatever. But eventually I was sold and convinced. But it wasn't just because he said it. It wasn't just because of it was, some of the superficial things, but there were more solid foundational characteristics about him that made me comfortable with first being his friend, respecting him as a person and a man, and then eventually feeling very comfortable with accepting his hand of marriage. And so that's what this book is about. I tell our story, but I give concrete clues to why I felt like he was suitable as a mate. Not a perfect man, but a good opportunity to someone was a legitimate choice, if that made sense.
Gotcha, gotcha. Put in the chat if you're willing to that all our single ladies can put in the chat
All the
all our
single ladies,
single ladies
put your hands up.
um da, 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 da. But single ladies, single, just put in the chat. I'm just curious to know how many ladies on here are single. And for the married ladies, I mean, hey, this may be an opportunity to really look at the relationships we have and just to kind of say, hey, yeah, that's a check mark. Oh, that wasn't important to me. I never thought about that. So we can use that from that sense as well. So your book highlights the 10 qualities you found in your husband that made him the right life partner. looking back, which quality has proven to be the most important and why?
His faith, our faith in God. I make reference to the fact that he presented himself as a believer from the get-go, which was important to me because I was. So there was just certain things that were not negotiable for the life of me, not without, I don't want to sound judgmental. I just don't understand how one could be a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ and then be married to someone or date somebody that's totally opposite. I get it, but some things just were non-negotiable. So one of the things I realized is that he was not just a church goer. He really had his own relationship with God, and I make reference to that. And even after marriage, it wasn't just a show for me. It was, I'm convinced, I was convinced of the fact that it wasn't a show prior to marriage. And I make reference to how in the book. But even since then, we've been married now 28 years. Alfonso has been consistent the entire time, the entire time.
Mhm.
Good times, bad times. It's evident that he has his own relationship with God, which is important.
Awesome. And consistency matters.
Yes.
Right? Consistency matters because they can show up one way and yeah,
Child.
for the purpose of catching you,
Yeah.
and then may not. So awesome. So the faith. So many people focus on chemistry or attraction with choosing a partner. How did you learn to look beyond those initial feelings and recognize the qualities that truly matter for a lasting relationship?
I wish I had a perfect response to that question because there wasn't chemistry for me from the beginning. I mean, he was a nice guy. I met him at a conference and we work with the same agency. So I had a non-fraternization policy when it came to people that I work with. And while we weren't in the same office or even in the same state, the fact that we met at a work-related event was already off limits. Though I know, I said, well, he's a decent looking brother. He got a good job. I know what agency he works for. So all that was a plus, but it didn't start out that way for me. It started out as us just being introduced and building a relationship as colleagues, and then a friendship developed. And then from that came the attraction and chemistry. It
Mhm.
wasn't chemistry from the beginning. Now, in contrast, there was a man I was engaged to prior to meeting my husband, and their relationship started off with chemistry from the start. Well, needless to say, we never got married because I think the foundation was we didn't start off as friends first. It was
Mhm.
chemistry first, attraction. Nothing wrong with that. Truthfully, that is important, but it shouldn't be the foundation of the relationship.
So in the chat, ladies, put on a scale from 1 to 10 as when you think about attraction, where would you rate your and be honest, be honest. Um, what they say, they got to be kind to the eyes. You want to be kind to the
Yeah,
eyes.
my mom says looks aren't everything, but they do count.
So what would you rate your on 1 to 10, 1 to 10 as far as attraction? Is it right in the middle? Is it high on your level? Go ahead and put that in the chat. I want you guys to engage on today as well. Um, so the series has been called Love is Patient, Love is Kind. How have patience and kindness shaped your marriage, especially during difficult seasons?
Patience shaped our relationship in our courtship. Because honestly, I jokingly have said this over the years. Alfonso has the patience of Job when it comes to being, and I'm not saying I didn't have to exercise patience as his wife, but he was very patient with me um, from the start because you was attracted to your husband's leg, girl. Let's not, yeah, okay. So I get it. I totally get it. He was very patient with me because I just was not open to a relationship, but he was determined to win me. And he said that was his prayer. He asked God to show me what I need to do to win her heart. So the average person probably within 6 months would have cut me off. So, but here's the thing: he's been a constant. He's It's been the same. I've never had to change or alter anything Alfonso's demeanor, his disposition has always been the same. And it's been an exercise of patience on my side of the equation as well, because when you two people who are independent, lived independently, we didn't get married like right out of our parents' homes. We all, we lived our own lives or whatever. So there is a measure of patience where you have to learn each other and understand each other. And sometimes when you might go snap, crackle, pop, you have to pause and say, let me just reevaluate and not respond or react so quickly. So patience is a virtue, and marriage is one of those relationships that will help you to build that virtue muscle,
Right.
honestly.
Exactly. But it ties to, we say this all the time, my husband and I, we say all the time, but you gotta want to be married.
Yeah,
Like
you do.
you'll be patient with something that you want to be in that space, right? You want,
Right.
like, so I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna wait for it
Yeah,
because and we'll tolerate some things that we may not tolerate if we don't want to be in that relationship. Similar to
exactly.
friendships, so there's
Right.
certain things. If I want to be your friend, I may overlook some things, but if you don't matter to me,
Chop,
that's
chop,
the first
chop.
thing, right? That's the first thing that you're going to do. Is there any other? I know you said the faith. What would you say was your other top two or three of your 10 qualities that you would say were key?
Alfonso always prefers me over everything. I mean, it was even when we first got married, I'm from the South. I've lived in the South my whole life. He has to some degree as well, but when he and I met, he was in the Washington, D.C. area. And we know most men in the South come across, maybe not all of them, kind of chauvinistic or misogynistic in some respects. And so they're a man's man, and they're not gonna talk to their wife about whatever, their girlfriend. They're gonna do what they want to do, right?
Mhm.
And so there have been times when opportunities were presented, and Al would tell somebody, well, let me talk it over with Anissa and see what she wants, because da 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 da. And then we would talk, and I was like, you could have just gone ahead and made the decision. He's like, no, I didn't know if you had something else planned, if there was something else on your agenda. I didn't want you to, to be um, in a position where you felt like you had to compromise. So then I go, oh, okay, well, that makes sense, right? That makes sense. Well, he's had men to tell him that he shouldn't do that because he's the man of the house. And then he had a very intense conversation, and he basically just told him that no man tells him how to run his house. He's in partnership with Anissa. He's always makes me his priority. Nothing, always. I mean, it could be if it's too cold in the house for him, I'm comfortable because I'm going through one of those seasons. And I'm comfortable and he's got all extra pairs of socks and two or three shirts. You know what I'm saying? He's like, well, no, as long as you're comfortable, the rest of us are just freeze, that kind of thing. I say that jokingly, but he always prefers me. I mean, he makes me his priority. And me being comfortable, me being at ease, at peace, that's been since day one, since dating, and even in 28 years.
What? I can't think of the movie where is it Deliverance from Eva? Where they talk about the last piece of chicken. And the lady said to her, the older lady was talking to the other ladies and said, he if you have one last piece of chicken and he doesn't offer it to you and eat it himself, that's a red flag. And that's that.
Mhm.
Are you the priority? Like, is he going to
Right,
make sure that you get it first before him? So that's what I thought
right.
of. And I wish I could remember the name of the movie, but that's what I thought of when you were saying that. Making sure that you are a priority, and that will, Seven Brothers, that will be. You will see that in dating. Like
Yeah, you'll see that, and yeah,
you
exactly.
see that in
And
dating.
and that's the thing too, Denise. We see a lot of the clues when we're dating, and the red flags are like this. They're flying the whole time. But a lot of times, because we like their legs and we like some other parts of their body and we like the way they make us feel, the chemistry is high on the list. We don't we see it, but we don't see it. So
Mhm.
sometimes we get caught up, and then It's
Yeah.
too late. A love hides a multitude of faults. There's a lot to be said for that. So our emotions get tied in. When then once that happens, sometimes the common sense doesn't play.
Yeah.
And everyone else can tell you something ain't right. But he's so sweet. He's so da 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 da. Yeah, that part.
You said love hides. What was it, the statement?
Love will hide a multitude of faults. Faults.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're emotionally attached. You have the love quote in there. You maybe you've become physical, and now the sex is even good, let's be clear, and
Yeah.
all of that, you know what I'm saying? And then you realize that he ghosts you on any given day, but you make excuses for him. That's a red flag. He doesn't offer you the last piece of chicken. You're not his priority. You know that you don't feel like you're his priority, but because everything else seems good, he treats you well, he takes you to the finest restaurants when you do go out, that kind of thing, and I hate to see that happen, because at the end of the day, really, ladies, we are the gift, we're the prize. So if they're not doing what it takes to win us, and the foundation is not laid on the things that really of substance, we really sell ourselves short, unfortunately. And that's not to be judgmental, but it's just the truth of the matter. Then we find ourselves disappointed later,
Mm-hmm.
when we really wanted it to work.
Then we try to force it to work.
Yeah, we do. We do everything. Women will concede and we will bend over backwards, because that's the nature of who we are. We're nurturers, we're givers, we're lovers. We do all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that, except if it's done to the point where you compromise yourself and you become devalued in the process, then it is a problem.
Right. Right. Ooh. No marriage is perfect.
No, it's not.
Which of the 10 qualities has helped you and your husband navigate disagreements, disappointments, and life's unexpected challenges? Yeah, take a drink
First,
on.
well, first and foremost, we want to be married. So even in disagreements, or when things got heated, even in the arguing or in the disagreement or in dealing with the challenge, it was from a place of, we got to get past this because this marriage has got to last. You know what I mean? And so I can remember when early in our marriage, we may have been married maybe 4 years. There was a circumstance that happened, and I was about to blow a gasket. I mean, seriously. But I know I cut with my mouth. At least then, I don't do it as much as I used to. God, thank you for growth. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah.
Praise the Lord.
But and so I didn't want to say anything that I will regret later. So I sought counsel. That's what the Bible teaches us. In a multitude of counsel, there is safety. Not knowing that the lady that I called to say I needed to talk with, Al had already called her husband to say the same thing.
Mhm.
So while I'm calling her upset, telling her my point of view, she said, "Your husband just called my husband." And I'm like, "He did? What'd he say?" She said, "I don't know." She said, "Well, y'all just need to come to the house." So we sought counsel. That was one of the things we did, because it was an impasse. You know what I'm saying? It got to the point where I knew if I said anything, I may say something wrong. I didn't want to disrespect him,
Mhm.
because I did respect him and I loved him, but at the same time, I needed to get my point across. So I knew I needed a referee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we sought counsel when those things got hard. And it hasn't been very many arguments, honestly, very few, if any. When we went through challenges with failed pregnancies, there was a hard time. We had people there in our corner, because some things you just cannot navigate by yourself, but you must build that community of people who respect who you are and what you're creating. So the people that we found to be safe, our safe space, were those who were married and had been married for years and had gone through their own challenges,
Mhm.
and they valued the same things we value when it comes to faith, family, and commitment, that kind of thing. So that would be the advice I would give, is to have a community of people who value the same things you value.
Awesome. Yes. 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 Um, for women who are praying for a spouse or hoping to find a healthy relationship, what advice would you give about what they should be looking for and what they should avoid?
I don't think they should be looking for anything. I think they need to be living their life like it's golden. I will say in your prayer time, if you are a believer, and I'm just speaking for, I don't know what people who are not believers do, but I do believe in creating goals and, you know, vision boards and things of that nature. Create that. And in your prayer time, you have that conversation with God. Um, write out the qualities that you would like. You want him to be a man of faith. You want him to prioritize you, the things of substance. You know what I'm saying? You want him to treat you like a lady, just whatever,
Mhm.
then live your life. Live your life. Do the things that you want to do. Enjoy what it is that you enjoy. And I really believe he's going to show up because when we're happy with ourselves, love starts first. Our love is through God. And then it says we love ourselves. Then we love other people. So we become complete in ourselves before we really should be attached to anybody else. And so if we're so focused on finding him or positioning ourselves to find him, we're not even supposed to be finding him anyway. He's supposed to be finding us according to the scripture.
Right.
Let's just be clear.
You find
But
that is a good thing.
I do believe that we should be living. I listen, I was so happy single. I was 29 when I got married. I left home at 24. There's only one thing I did not do as a single woman that if I had to go back in time, I would, and that would be to travel internationally with my girlfriends, my friends, my besties. But I enjoyed my life as a single woman. I was not hungry and I was not thirsty. And what I mean by that is just because someone offered to take me out to eat or wanted me to meet for drinks, I didn't say yes to every invite because I wasn't hungry and I wasn't thirsty. I didn't want to lead anyone on if I was not interested. I was not I'm not saying it wouldn't have been good to have a free meal every now and then or but I was very apprehensive because I didn't taking me to the movie. I don't want to give you the impression that I'm trying to be with you because I'm not. I'm,
Mhm.
no, you can't come over and visit. No, I'm not hungry. Thank you for the opportunity to come over with pizza and let's just Netflix and chill. It wasn't Netflix then, but you get what I'm saying. I just that type of thing. I didn't want to seem desperate, but I wasn't desperate. I was really happy by myself. I was content. I bought a home. I started traveling. I was looking to start doing my little investment, real estate portfolio. That's just where my head was. And then I met Alfonso in Miami having a good time at a conference. That's how it happened. Be happy with yourself. And I believe when you're happy and content with who you are, that will be attractive. I even had a gentleman, Denise. This is so crazy. I bought for my 28th, 27th birthday, I bought a house. That was my birthday gift to myself. And I had an older gentleman just say to me, I don't know if you'll ever get married, little lady, because you've done everything a man would do for you. And I was like, what are you talking about? I had no clue what he meant. So he said, because I had a good job and drove a decent car and I just bought a house, what is there left for a man would be
Yeah, beautiful.
intimidated or he would be turned off by that. I said, well, I beg to differ. I believe the man for me would say, oh my God, she got it going on.
Mhm.
That's what I think is going to happen. You know what I'm
Bring
saying?
something to the table. Yep.
Exactly. So I think you should be happy, totally happy with yourself. I'm not saying you shouldn't desire to be married. My attitude was if God sends someone my way, that would be great to have a companion to live my life with, but I was not going to make all my decisions or not make decisions in hopes that just in case he show up, I don't disqualify, that kind of thing. I'm like, I'm buying the house. I'm gonna buy some real estate. If he wants to marry me, he can decide whether he gonna move in my house or we gonna move in his. That was just my attitude. So yeah, I said be happy. Make your list, pray over your list, trust God to send him your way, and just begin to live your life and love your life as an individual.
And that leads really well into the next question about becoming the right person. You know, we talk about finding the right person, but are you the right person that right person want to find?
Yeah,
Right.
right,
So it
right.
works both, like becoming the person that would attract the right person that you have put on the list with the qualities. Like,
Yeah,
are you
exactly.
are you that person that would attract them? We
Right,
say we want
right.
all this, but what do you? How would that person identify you based on what you want in him?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a very legitimate expectation that if you desire these 10, 12, 13 qualities in a
Mhm.
companion, that you also provide those same 10, 12, 13 qualities.
Right.
There are some things that are, I needed Al to be self-sufficient. That was important to me. I didn't, so when I met him, he knew how to cook. He knew how to keep a house clean. He knew how to do his own laundry. He knew how to wash dishes. I didn't ask him those questions. I found out those things based on how he lived his life. So that was a blessing for me because my love language is mop the floors, honey. It turned me on, wash the dishes. You know, I don't want to do all the household things by myself. You know what I'm saying? So, um, I think it's in Sharon, don't laugh, but it's the truth. I mean, it is the truth. So if you know there are certain things you want him to bring to the table, you need to bring it to the table as well, because it's very likely if he's in this position and he has these qualities, he wants that in his mate as well. It's not fair to be one-sided. We should
Right.
bring to the table what it is. We should serve up what it is we desire.
Right. 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 Well, we're on pause for a moment. I want to just have you share with me a few other photos, and I just want you to tell us a little bit about your photos, and we'll come back to our conversation.
Okay. That was hard finding pictures, girl. Oh Lord.
And I don't know why. I
I,
just
you know,
I didn't know. You just didn't. So let's start here. Um, so tell us a little bit about these pictures, and tell us why you chose to share those pictures.
Okay, so the picture at the top is myself and my cousin. She and I were the first one of the first grandchildren. So there are even pictures of us at the ages of like 4 and 5 and 3 and 4 where we were at grandmama's house. It was when she was there, I was there. So this is us. I think we probably like 10 and 11 or something in my uncle's room. He wasn't there taking pictures. I chose that picture because of the environment in which I was raised. I was raised in a family that believed in faith, family, and fun. We get together even now all the time for not for any specific occasion. It's Sunday after church and let's all get together, that kind of thing. And
Mhm.
everybody brings a meal. So family, faith, and fun. And then if there was a lot of emphasis on going to school, get your education. My grandmother married at 16. Back then it was common. But she said there was no need in us getting married that young. We need to get our education and have our own. She was very adamant about that. So that picture really represents, grandmama's house. That picture was taken at grandmama's house. It was about being with family, having fun, because the bow ties were my uncle bow ties. I don't even know if he's seen this picture, but anywho, but that's what that picture represents. And then the pictures with the books. It's an older picture, but these are the books that I have published, and it speaks to the evolution of me as an author. I never imagined that I would be an author, and definitely not one that is written. Actually, a total of 14 titles now, so I need to update the bio. But it speaks to when you are working with purpose and intention. Working with women as an entrepreneur was what I did. And then as a result of being in that community of coaching women in business and wanting to see them succeed and celebrating their successes, and then me evolving as a leader and being able to hone in and sharpen my own skills, these books are a representation of that. They really are. So I never thought my life would have taken this course, taken this detour, but I'm enjoying the ride. And even though I'm in a different industry now, I still am doing what I've always done.
Mhm.
So it just speaks to the evolution of who I am and who I've become.
Awesome. Tell us about these pictures.
Well, the far left is, well, my left anyway, is at a Mary Kay conference. That represents the community, the pink bubble. That's where Denise and I met. And so through the Mary Kay community, and a leader representing not only the sales force, but also the leadership, in that, we were reps that sold the products and promoted the use of the products, but we also had a community of people that we were responsible for leading. And so I became a stronger person in my people skills, in my organizational skills, in my emotional management, in those things that will you desire to have in a leader as a result of that community. I will forever be grateful for that personal development course that allowed me to make money. Basically, is what it amounts to, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So, so those skills I bring with me into the publishing space, into the space in which I have thus far, and the pictures to the in the middle and on the right represent my first trip international trip where I went to South Africa. In the TEDx stage, I had an opportunity to share on the TEDx stage as a panelist. And funny enough, the topic for which I shared had to do with leadership. And much of what I shared, I learned in the pink bubble, right?
Right.
So that, and then of course, because I am in the literary community, I'm really big about passing it on. So one wing or one um, initiative that's a part of the Chosen Pen Group, the publishing company, is Literacy for Children. And so during our trip to South Africa, we took books to one of the schools that had suffered damage to their library. So we had an initiative, Books to Africa. We took a 700 and right at close to 800 books. And these were the children who knew that the Americans were coming to bring them books, but these children were on spring break and they asked for special permission to be there when we arrived. So we showed up with books and they were there. And when I tell you these kids were excited for books like our children in America are excited about electronics. They were super excited. We made sure that those books represented them. A lot of times, in school systems, you only see one ethnicity in books by for whatever reason. So we made sure there was a variety of books, and they were excited to see children that looked like them in the books. But those kids were so excited about the books. And so that was just one of the pictures I captured for them going through the books. And of course, there are more. But this speaks to, of course, the evolution of work, because I made a decision to write the book to support the home-based business community that I was a part of. Women in business led to me writing books, which then led to me being invited to South Africa to speak on a panel, which then led to us curating a project to be a blessing to kids in another country.
Awesome. This may or may not seem like it's relevant, but I do want to make this comment. It may not be necessarily relevant to the love is patient, love is kind, but I do want to say this. One of the things that I'm holding on to is nothing you have done will be wasted. Like
Yeah,
that
that's
is
true.
one of that, and the other thing is you reserve the right to get better. Those are my two things that have really been a part of my pivoting, my shifting, my being courageous enough to do something different. So as I look at the photos, right, and knowing, from the pink bubble to taking those skills, transferring the confidence, all the things, to not say that was just a defining who you were, but being able to build to be a part of who you were, to continue to grow into who you're
Right.
still becoming, right? So I also believe that when you are that type of person, you are going to attract a different type of person as well.
That's
Now,
true.
I'll say this too. There are some males that can't handle that confidence, that can't handle that type of woman, but that ain't who you looking for, right?
Right.
That ain't who
Because
you
that's
looking.
not on your list
That's
that
not
you've
on your
prayed
list,
about.
right?
Right.
You ain't praying for no guy who can't handle your awesomeness. And you said earlier too about settling, and we talk about the whole shrinking and dimming our light, and we often talk about that around other women. You don't also want to do that around a male, building a relationship where you have to feel like you have
Right.
to step back, or he can't handle your boldness. He can't handle the fact that you're a boss in what you do. Those are red flags as well,
They are.
because you want to be with someone who you can walk alongside of, and who is going to appreciate um, who appreciate who you are, and don't think that is a threat to him, just like you appreciate who he is, right? We're working in
Exactly.
partnership as well. So I just wanted to really, that we can change and move forward without losing, and we got to know what we need to take into our
Right.
next chapter to help us to
Yeah.
be even better in our where we're headed as well. So just wanted to say that as well. So I'm not sure if you had, I think there was a other picture,
I think
but yeah. So but yeah, I wanted to make that mention. And a lot of times, I'm sure even before the pink bubble and being in the corporate, you didn't even envision Africa being on TEDx talk as part of the path.
Never.
Well, so
Never. No, I never. Much of what has happened for me, especially in the last, I'm gonna say 10 years, I never even imagined it. Never. It was not on my blueprint. It wasn't on my radar. Not by any, the doors open, but I believe doors open for you. Even the marriage, honestly. I didn't go to Miami, Florida for that conference because I was going to look for a man to marry. I was
right,
going to have a good, we were going to the conference. The conference was a byproduct of my friends and I had all kinds of other plans. We're going to go to the sessions in the day and the evenings were to ourselves. So, that wasn't even the case. But I just believe that when you have a sincere heart about becoming a better person, when you are willing to serve others and however that looks,
mm-hmm.
when you are happily content with who you are as a person, as an individual, because you are a whole person. When people get married, I'm not looking for the other half of me. No, he was a whole person too. He was a whole person. I was a whole person, and we became one together. So when you're happy with who you are and you are evolving, and I really believe too, when you apply those principles to your life, then you are in a better place to meet somebody of significance. But if you're constantly figuring out who you are, changing who you are, shifting and downplaying who you are, um, not staying true to who you are subject to get anything and everything because on any given day, you're not even the same person, so you have to be happy and content with who God created you to be and be committed to becoming an even stronger, more mature, better version of that person.
Constantly evolving, right?
Right.
Constantly evolving. So, with that, what would you tell every woman if you could tell every woman one thing before she says "I do"? What would you want her to know that you wish someone would have shared with you?
Hmm. That's a good question. I looked at that when you sent it to me. I was like, I don't know how to answer that question. This is one thing I will say is that I sometimes can deceive us. So we need to seek wisdom in our decision making. And I offer that not because of my current marriage, but I do parallel my previous relationship because I was in a relationship for several years and was engaged. And so by all visual standpoints, from people looking at us, from people knowing us, people understanding where he was from and where I was from, people thought we were the quote perfect couple. But that's what they saw.
Mhm.
That's the visual representation was not the true representation of who we were. So in the relationship that I am in now, I believe I saw who I believe him to be, but I also heard it and I asked God for wisdom and it was revealed. So I didn't have to ask a lot of questions. I knew that from the previous, let me just give a case in point. People will say, well, he's from a good family. He's from a Christian family. His mama and daddy are still together and they've been married 35 years and your parents been married 35 years and you're from a Christian family. So you all should work out fine. You go, well, yeah, on the outside, the father is very active in ministry, da 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 da, but you don't realize that behind the closed doors, he's abusive,
Mhm.
and that because those abusive traits could be passed on, then now you better understand because you see what's behind the screen and you ask God for wisdom and he begins to show you things. So you see things for what they are. So it's not, I would say, don't get caught up in what you see in and of itself. That's some of the things I referenced in the book that when I talk about Al um, prioritizing me, it wasn't just in his what he said, is in his actions. And I gave an example. When I said that he was consistent, it wasn't just because of what he said, it was in his examples. And when I said he had a relationship with church, it wasn't just because he, quote, went to church. A lot of men go to church because they're looking for women. This not even has nothing to do with God. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it wasn't that. So don't get so caught up in the visual. The visual is the attraction. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that doesn't count, but be careful and seek wisdom so that you know with certainty and with a level of confidence that what you're seeing is truly what is being represented, is who that person is, who they say they truly are.
Right.
And don't the shiny ball syndrome. Don't get caught up in the shiny balls that you miss all of the other stuff that's behind it.
Right. Right. If you guys have any, I have one more question for um, Anissa. If you have any questions for her, please put in the chat. When people finish reading your book, what transformation do you hope takes place in the way that they view love, marriage, and choosing a life partner?
Mhm. I hope it inspires hope. So if they're not married and they desire to be married, they have a blueprint. I'm not saying we're perfect, but I am saying that because and I didn't have this blueprint. Let me say that too. I didn't have a list of what I was looking for. These things were revealed in the relationship, and that's what helped build my confidence in who he was. But I hope this serves as a blueprint for others. There were some things I shared in the book that were passed on to me from my father. My
Mm.
dad was very much engaged in conversation with my sister and I about relationships with guys and boys and dating. Everybody didn't have that. So I'm passing on what was shared with me, and then and even at the time when he shared some things, it didn't resonate until later. Then when I started thinking about my relationship with Alfonso and my dating, I'm like, oh my God, Daddy said this would be the case. This might happen. This is one clue. So I hope it inspires hope. I hope it provides them with a blueprint from which to build on. And even from a male perspective, if there's a guy who desires to be married and he wants to win a woman's heart, I hope he uses this as a blueprint too, so he'll know what to do. You know, it's more to it than just taking them out to eat and having a good time. All that's fun, but at the end of the day, what happens when you can't have that fun? In the 28 years, we weren't able to do some of the things we did when we were in our dating and younger, but we pivot and we keep going because it wasn't about those things. Our foundation was laid on something solid.
Right. What
Yeah,
happens when your husband becomes disabled? Yeah,
exactly.
that's sweet.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, you have to have something. You have to have some foundation
you
in
have
order
to have some. It is
to
not going to be always easy.
right.
So I don't want people to think but nothing that's worth having is easy. Anything that's really worth having requires the work. It requires the investment, so there will be those times too. We've faced a lot of challenges together, but we work through it together. And a lot of times there are times also when the challenges that you have as a married couple don't come from either one of you. It comes from external forces, and you got to even learn how to fight as a couple to make sure that those things from the outside don't
Don't.
contaminate your relationship.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. People don't talk about that much.
Yeah. A lot of times people think about marriage not working because he did something or did something. There are times when things outside of the marriage leak in. And if you don't have the wisdom or the skill set or the level of maturity to know how to fight together against those things, it's
Mhm.
us against the world. I mean, even with moving back home, I'm back for 28 years of me being married. I never lived near family. When we moved back home, I have family that would just pop in. I was like, you don't just pop in. No, you call. That's not how we live.
Yeah.
And they were like, I can't believe I can't come see you. That's not what I said. I didn't say you couldn't come see me. I said you call because of the way we live our life. You may not understand it. It may seem strange to you, and that's okay, but you will respect it, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I'm not going to allow 28 years to go down the drain just because folks want to pop over at the house when they, listen, no ma'am, no sir, that's not gonna happen. So yeah, you have to learn. And one of the biggest things I'll say, Denise, and I know you agree to this, you need to build community of people who have the same values that you have. Your girlfriends need to respect your marriage. And really couples need other couples, so you can couple things, and they value marriage just like you value marriage, that type of thing. Or even if you have friends that aren't married, they are in your corner as your sister friend, but they're gonna be cheering for you to have a strong marriage, not the other way around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Anissa? It's a good conversation. I can't wait to get my copy.
I had a copy here I could have given you. I'm sorry. I got one here. Have you ordered it? You ordered it?
No, I don't know. Did you tell me how to order it?
It is on Amazon, but I have copies here at the house.
Okay, so how can they get it? Put in the chat how they
Amazon.
can get there.
Go
Um,
to Amazon.
so they go to Amazon and they put why I said yes. Is that what
With my
they?
name. And it'll come up.
Okay. Well,
What
everybody
was
don't
it?
know him as well as I do. Maybe you should put it in the chat
I'm typing it. I'm typing it as we speak. Thank you.
because that's what Cyrus would tell you to do.
Yeah,
That's what he would
I
tell
would have had most definitely would.
you. Yes. Anybody have any questions or comments or thoughts or any ahas? Any? I'm glad you said that. Anything before we close out for tonight. Closing out our month of love is patient, love is kind. I hope you this was a good way just kind of to bring things in, um, kind of bringing in full circle. And I think a big piece that I would say I'll be celebrating what years? 33 years, 33
Oh,
years
you got me
coming
beat.
in September. And it's all because we want to be married. That's my husband and I say that all the time. It's because we want to
Yeah.
be married. So
Right.
you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out because
Right.
you want to figure it out. Um,
Yeah.
as well. So thank you, Pam. Thank you, Pam, for that. Pam says great session as well. So, well, we're going to go ahead and close it out for tonight. And if you didn't hear anything else, maybe you need to, find some counsel and go to therapy or you don't always have to wait till things blow up to seek counsel as well.
No.
So let me pull this up as we wrap. Do you have any last things that you want to share with the group as we close up, Anissa? Was there anything?
Well, the only thing I'll say is just to be mindful of the fact that I didn't write the book to really to say that we have a perfect marriage and that everyone should be like us in our relationship. Your relationship should be like ours, and you should do what we did. That's not the purpose. The purpose was to provide just a few wisdom nuggets that I've learned over life, um, as to why I felt like he was a great companion, the person I could say be live a committed life with. And these were solid characteristics. These were character things. They weren't just the superficial. And that's not to say that him having a great smile and a great body and a great job and all of that is not important. But at the end of the day, those things could change.
Mhm.
You change out curtains, you change out flooring in your home, but it's the foundation that keeps the house stable, the foundation. So you want to build on a solid foundation. And these characteristics are what I believe to be many of the characteristics that you would want to have in a life partner.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. Um, as we wrap up this tonight's session, you can find it. If you have anybody that you know that could benefit from it, it will be on within the next 24, 48 hours. It will be on our Empower by DS YouTube channel. As I close up as well, check out our tribe. We are, if you want to be in a community, of women, and sometimes it's just not just you. I believe all women need to have an external, not just everything their spouses. That's just my thoughts. And just having a good circle of people around you, of course, that encourages you within your marriage, but encourages you to be the best in all aspects of your life. And the side tribe is one of those things. So we may just be what the doctor orders. So you can text tribe to remember our new number, 662-506-6227. You will receive a text from me with information with a new number that you'll have as well. We will be starting our new book for next quarter towards the end of July, beginning of August. And it's Brave Enough to Succeed. So if you're in a season of your life that's just trying to get a breakthrough, sometimes it's all about you're not succeeding because you lack the confidence in doing some of the things that you need to do. So this is an awesome book on it. So we'll be getting that started as well. So go ahead and get your book ordered if you are in our tribe. And Sunday, you guys, Sunday. Once again, at a new month, we start our month with what we call Sacred Start. Is our prayer call. We get on and just solicit prayers in all aspects. We pray just to really open things up to get us off to a great month. So we have that on Sunday at 6 p.m. And as we continue to walk in alignment, I today just had the aha couple years ago. I started to see pivoting, things shifting. I started to see things shifting and trying to figure things out, and still coming off of COVID, trying to get everything right. And in that season, probably I came up with the acronym FOCUS, and FOCUS was finding opportunities that consistently utilize my strengths. So that's what it stood for. As a result of doing that 100 days of believing bigger and really understanding who I am. So this season now, fast forward now, and I reflect on where I am compared to where I was 2 years ago, is because I made an intentional decision to focus on focus. Like I made it intentional. So where I sit today is because I've intentionally tried to find those opportunities. I say yes to the opportunity that's focused on my strength. So I can sit today in what I call, we got from our last book, the intersection. So if you have not, if you're struggling to figure things out, if you're just really trying to figure things out, start to do some aligning, seeking God, trying different things, figuring out what your strengths are, understanding that, stepping into that unapologetically. And as we now are, I'm really working to become truly who God has called me to be. You guys, all of that takes courage. So that whole just looking at it like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all the things today, like everything that I do today, all the opportunities I'm having today. Truly, I'm in a season of operating 100% in all my gifts and talents, 100% the things I'm passionate about. And I know we don't always have the opportunity to do that because of just for whatever reason. And I said today, pursuing your passion don't always be profitable. So you go through a season sometimes, but if you stay obedient, and I'm excited to be now in the season where I can start seeing more of the profit because of I stayed focused on those
Right.
things. So what are you convicted of? What are you intentional about in this season of your life? So I encourage you to start to really put some blinders on and get into a clear path and let God speak to you. We continue to invite you to stay connected with us, with our tribe, and I know without a shadow of a doubt on today that you have been empowered, and we are women who get empowered to empower. It's not just about ourselves. We share because we care. We share because we care, and we are our sister's keeper. So one of the things that I hope that if you know of anybody who is in a season of their life that this may be something good for them, share it, you guys. It doesn't hurt for us to share, to encourage somebody else, whether they are they're single, whether they are already married and looking for to build healthy relationships. Maybe they just want to know, just so share the information, get the book for yourself as well. And let's continue to grow together. Let's continue to show up together and do all the great things. So thank you again, Dr. Anissa, for being on here today and sharing and being courageous enough to put your stuff in print. Because a lot of us got stuff in our head, things on our heart, but we just aren't making moves. So I applaud you for being courageous enough to not only do the first book now to be on your book number 14, you said? Is it
Yeah,
12?
this is the 14th. I had
The
to go back
14th.
and look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Book number 14. So, and because of your courage, then other people can be empowered. So if you have something, you guys, be
Just
courageous enough to put it out there. Reach
decide.
out to
Just
her. Reach out.
decide.
Just decide. Yes, just
Yeah.
decide. Get some counseling for people who are experienced like Anissa and go ahead and move forward with that. So thank you guys. Have a safe holiday weekend. We will be back here. For those of you, I hope to connect with you on Sunday and others next week on Tuesday. So have a great rest of the night.
Good night,
Be safe.
everybody. Good night.